Okay, fresh video. Today we're going to be making a stainless steel exhaust system here on Tom's K24 swapped Honda CRX. As you see, it's a pretty serious track car. We've got all the aero, we've got the composite widened panels, we've got the vents, we've got the single wiper conversion. So pretty serious car, and we're going to make an exhaust system to do this car justice. Now, it's a track car, so it needs to be track friendly. Now, I've already got some goodies here that we're going to need for this build.
Anything off the trolley, dears?
Some very important components. Now, we're going to be building a full 3-inch manifold back exhaust system. The car already has a Skunk 2 K-swap manifold fitted to the vehicle, and it uses the pretty typical Honda conical gasket as instead of a flexi joint. So we've got a nice stainless steel press flange for that. The collector on the manifold is 2.5 inch. Now, we are not going to modify the manifold in this case, so we've got a nice 2.5 inch to 3 inch, pretty nice long cone reducer there. Now, for the centre box, the resonator, we've got a 24x5 inch silencer. Now, this was the longest one that Fabco offered, so we've got plenty of room for it, so we're going to fit as big a silencer as we can in the centre. And the same goes for the rear as well, is we're fitting the biggest silencer we can on the rear without looking a bit too daft. Now, this has got a half cut bumper on it, so in this case we're going to see the entirety of the silencer when you're sat behind this, which can sometimes look a bit daft. So we've gone with a 14x6 for the rear. So what we'll do is we're going to get the car up in the air. Let's have a look underneath. So here we are underneath the car. The overall condition of the chassis is in pretty reasonable condition. It's not too bad, not too bad. So we're going to start here at the collector of the manifold, and we're going to work our way and put our mid box in this space here. And then obviously we've got a 90 degree and another 90 degree, and we need to kick it up and over the rear control arm. Now, the factory fuel tank is missing in this, but I like to think ahead for customers, and let's just say that in the future they are breaking this car for parts. Obviously I want to try and make this exhaust fit around the non-existing fuel tank, so if they did sell it and break the parts, they should be able to sell this exhaust system onto someone who still has the factory fuel tank in the factory location. And then pretty simple kick over the lower control arm here, and we're going to have to put in an additional exhaust hanger or two, because usually with the CRXs you have a long thin box which goes underneath the spare wheel well, and then it comes out this side, hence why we've got an exhaust hanger here. Now, we're doing it nice and simple, and that is we're just going to bring it over this side and bring it out on the driver's side. Now, you see what I mean, how the bumper is half cut, so usually the bumper would come down to about here, and it would typically cover like the top half of the silencer, but we haven't got this on this, so I'm just going to aim it for somewhere in this sort of spot here, and just get as much ground clearance as possible. So first thing to do is we're going to tackle the midsection. We are going to get our cone reducer on there, and then we're going to weld our little flange on there. Now, I'm going to break this system into 3 pieces. We're going to have a long midsection here, and we're going to have a join about here, which will then go up to about here, and then the rear box will then slip joint into there as well, and that just makes packaging a bit easier. It means we haven't got to have this massive exhaust system on our bench trying to weld it all in smaller pieces. It's going to be easy to modify it in the future as well. So without further ado, let's crack on with a welding montage, shall we? Okay, so that is the midsection all done. I just need to put some hangers on, but I was just waiting for some exhaust rubbers to come in from the local parts company. Okay, so that is the midsection nearly done. I just need to weld on some hangers for the exhaust rubbers, but I'm just waiting for one more rubber to come in from the local parts place. So while we're waiting for that, I've propped it up on this little stand here so we can at least continue with this 90-degree bend and 90-degree bend here. So hopefully we can sort of aim to get it to sort of this location here before this rubber comes in. So yeah, I mean, I've just basically told you what I'm going to do. 90 degrees out of here, 90 degrees up. Now I'm going to use this slip joint to join the exhaust system. Now, providing you use the appropriate paste, which in my case is copper slip, these don't seize up. If you use that nasty white exhaust putty that you can get, it will seize up and then you'll end up not being able to separate the exhaust system. But yeah, we're going to use a couple of 90s. We're going to use these hygienic elbows, which are ever so popular this day and age. And yeah, sort of something like that. Probably just got to trim this down slightly, but there'll be a 90 degree there, a bit of straight, and another 90 degree here, and we'll get it pointing towards that lower control arm. I think what I'm going to do is probably aim it up here at 45 degrees, and then the back box will come down and it will slip onto that 45 degree angle, because I did a 3-inch exhaust system on a EG Civic years ago, and I did it the traditional Honda way, which is the back box comes over the axle and then it has like a bit of straight here, so it would join here where it was straight, and in 3-inch there's just not enough room to get the exhaust up and over the axle. So yeah, I think I'm going to join it as it slopes up here into the 45 degree section. So yeah, now we've got an idea of what we're doing, let's get cracking. Right, so we've got the second section all done. Got it nicely sat in the heat shield, and a couple of 45s there to dodge a couple of brackets, and then we've got our exhaust hanger on there, and we've also got our exhaust hangers on here. So now we are on to the back box, which again we've got over here, and then this should sit roughly about there. Now I've already prepared a couple of sections, so this is the first 45, which is what slips onto here, and then we've got a 90 with a bit of a leg on it, and then that gives us about as maximum clearance for the control arm on suspension travel, and it also gives us somewhere to point towards the box when we get over the axle. So yeah, let's crack on and get the back box done. Okay, so we are on the final steps now. As you see, we've got the rear box on the car. We have got the rear exhaust hanger on the silencer sorted. Now, because originally the back box would have gone along the underneath of the spare wheel well, we've got an exhaust hanger here and a bracket that's already been removed here that was there for the previous hanger. So we're going to have to, this side, introduce a new hanger. So what I'm going to do is I've got this exhaust rubber here and I put a bit of stainless steel tube inside of there. I'm going to drill a hole here, put a riv nut in there. Then that's going to allow me to then clamp this exhaust rubber here onto this chassis leg, and then once we've got that rubber on there, we can then put an additional hanger from this back box into the rubber to support the rear box. Yeah, then we're very close from being done and doing the all important sound clip. And there we have it, one completed exhaust system. Looks pretty good if I don't say so myself. So what we need to do now is we need to fit it to the car, and so you lovely lot can see what this sounds like. Hopefully it's not going to be too loud. Obviously we've gone with the longest mid box they do in a 5-inch casing, and then we've gone with the 14x6 for the rear casing, and we've got all the hangers on there as well. So let's get it back on the car. Okay, so exhaust back in the car, all sealed up. We've degreased all of my mucky fingerprints so we don't burn my fingerprints in this exhaust for the rest of its life. So yeah, I'm really happy. Let's see how it sounds a second. Now a little top tip for you is we like to use copper slip on our slip joints, and that prevents two things really. It stops it seizing together, and the copper also expands with the heat and forms a better exhaust seal to make sure we don't get any leaking exhaust gases. Now there's probably some people out there who'll be like, why have you not used V-bands? Well, V-bands warp, and if they warp they don't seal, whereas with slip joints, providing you're using copper slip, as we do here, you're not really going to get any exhaust leaks. Plus, you've also got the ground clearance issue of E-bands. The clamp is quite cumbersome, and you know, as you can see here, look, the profile is quite tight to the tube. Whereas if you had a V-band, you know, you'd be sort of out of here with the clamp and stuff. Now we've got it on the car. Let's drop it down the floor. Let's start it. Let's see what it sounds like. And there we go. I forgot to film an outro when Tom picked up the car, so this is what you're getting. A voice recording over the same clip you just watched 2 seconds ago. So as you can see, Tom is pretty over the moon with how the exhaust performs. No loss in power. And most importantly, we've got it under that noise requirements for most of the UK circuits, with the exception of Bedford. But you know, if you do track days in the UK, you know that Bedford is extremely hard to get sorted on noise, and unless you've really got an EV, you're too loud. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this bit of fabrication content video. If you enjoyed it, like, comment, share, subscribe, all that jazz, and we'll see you in the next video. Love you, bye.